Oh no. AI electronic music with live violin and djembe titled Resistance is Futile is actually a really good idea. But I have so many fears and internal dilemmas about doing it. The whole concept for the album appeared in the middle of the night, in a flash of inspiration, along with excitement for the idea and a feeling of dread. Can I really do this? The uneasy feeling stuck with me for weeks. What exactly was I worried about, and how did I resolve those fears to move forward? It started out as a vague cloud of worry, with specific fears coming up sometimes. Eventually I realized that most of the fears fell into one of three categories. 1. What people would think of me. 2. How the process would affect me and what I would think of myself. And 3. The impact of this technology on the world and my part in all of that. In the category of what other people would think of me, I was worried about the general public and about musicians and producers. I was worried that people would doubt the authenticity of my 100% organic music. Everything I've made to this point, I've made with great care, with my hands on instruments, doing as much of the process organically as possible. So this was really a 180 from my other works in that way. To resolve this, I thought, well, maybe I can label my other albums on the cover 100% human, or on this one for transparency, 50% AI, 50% human. In the end, there's really no clear solution for anyone on this. Now that this technology exists, that will always be a question that exists, and we'll just have to figure it out. I also worried what other musicians and producers would think of me. I work with some amazing musicians and some top-level electronic music producers. I respect them a lot, and I have their respect, and I would like to keep it and keep working with them. In the end, I realized I can't be controlled by the fear of what other people will think of me, and that this is just an experiment following the flow of inspiration for this album. I decided to do it the most ethical way possible. I put a lot of effort into making really high quality, respectable parts with the violin and the djembe, and to only release stuff that I sincerely enjoyed listening to. The second big category was how the process would affect me and how I would feel about myself. I wondered if I'd be losing sight of my values, and that started out kind of also as a vague sense. But what would those values be? Well, one is that I have always really enjoyed the organic process of exploration and what I learn about myself in that process of writing music from scratch. But I also value experimentation and efficiency and fusion and bringing together the old and the new, and this was an opportunity to do that. And there was still some organic process with the instruments. Another value I didn't want to lose sight of is not wanting to take shortcuts just for the sake of an easy way out. Eventually I realized that this is more of an experiment than looking for the easy way out, that this album would turn out different than anything else I've made, and it's not necessarily more honorable in spending more time than necessary to create something. I also didn't want to lose sight of my value of only producing music with top quality. I wondered, how good of a quality can I get with these tools? So I decided to go ahead with the experiment, and obviously if in the end I thought it didn't sound good at all, I wouldn't put it out. But I also decided that I don't want to be so hyper picky about production values that I stop good music from getting out into the world. The second fear within this category of how this process would affect me was that I might lose motivation to do more time-intensive musical processes. I resolved this fear by connecting with the reality that I always put my very best into everything, and that in this new AI era, I want to have clarity of where I want to put my focus. Either something that AI music still can't do very well, or to do a time-intensive process for the learning that will come from it. The third fear in this category was if I would feel artistic satisfaction with this end product. I love that feeling of putting something brand new into the world and saying, wow, this didn't exist before. And the inspiration came through me, and I just kind of channeled it, and now this thing exists. Will I get that satisfaction while using AI for one part of it? I went ahead with it because I realized I just have to try to know. I can't know that beforehand. And the answer to that question ended up being, yes, I find some artistic satisfaction. It's not the same as Con, it's not the same as Mastodon, but there's a weird satisfaction in it. I did put a lot of effort into the live parts, and I put a lot of effort into generating the AI tracks also. Really spent a lot of time listening and arranging and putting it together in a way that I thought would be interesting. So it's not as deep a satisfaction as the totally organic process from scratch, but I'm still really happy with the results and feel good about it. So the third big category of fears that I had was the impact of this technology on the world and what part I would be playing in that. There's the question of, is it ethical to use AI music, given the fact that these AI generators are trained on real musicians' music, and there's not permission given or any compensation. And I have a video exploring that topic, but in the end, I moved forward by deciding to donate all the profits to charity, and to do it with only the free version of Udio in order to avoid giving money to a business that currently has some pretty objectionable practices. The second fear in that category was to be a part of the problem, because these AI music generators really do pose a risk of drowning out real musicians and squelching real innovation. I resolved that fear by realizing that I have an opportunity to be a part of the solution too, by getting hands-on and working with it and educating myself, by putting out a good product that really is very human and really soulful, by putting out these videos talking about it. Thought that maybe I can do my small part in steering this ship in a safe direction. And the reality is I'm a professional musician who is at risk of being affected by this, and so I thought, can I ride this wave instead of getting wrecked by it? That would be a good thing to do. And the third fear I had in that category was that as I worked with it, I would discover that AI really can put us professional musicians out of work. But I truly believe that the truth will set us free. So it's better to know, to face it head on, than to close my eyes and wish that it was different. And the last fear, which was the only one that didn't really fit cleanly into any of those three categories, was the legal implications of using this technology. The law is constantly changing on this. Universal, Sony, and Warner are filing a lawsuit against Udio and Suno for copyright infringements, and that's going on currently. So I obviously don't know what I will be able to do with this music moving forward. But I just decided to go for it, to work as hard as possible every spare minute to get it out as quickly as possible, and hope for the best. So some of those fears I was able to resolve. Others were out of my control and are still out of my control, and I just had to accept. In the end, I felt like the reasons to do it were greater than the reasons not to, and I have a video about that right now. Love you. Thank you.